Hello everyone. So today Jeff and I are going to be exploring the reasons why Ninja.io is the best .io game ever made. Now, obviously, when you are making a video like this, it's impossible to be 100% unbiased, but we will try to explain why we think what we think, and we'll try and be as objective as we can, but just keep in mind that this video is still based on our opinion, so obviously it will be somewhat biased. But hopefully you'll hear us out, and whether you agree or disagree, we hope you enjoy the video. Now, without further ado, let's start with reason number 1. One of the biggest appeals of Ninja.io, to me at least, is that it's entirely skill-based. It has nothing to do with luck at all, and that's really awesome. Every match you can pick whatever weapon you want and play however you want, and almost 100% of the time, if you're more skilled than the other players you're facing, you'll win. Like, that's all there is to it. There is no luck of the draw type spawns or weapons you have to go searching for. You're given all the tools you'll ever need to succeed from the very second you spawn. When you spawn, you have everything you need. You don't have to go scavenging for things. It's not about where you spawn on the map or anything. Like, everybody starts with the tools that they choose. And so it's all about skill instead of luck, which is really great. So there isn't any advantage you can just buy or anything like that either. You know, even if like you've been playing the game for 5 years, the only advantage you have over someone who just joined is experience. You don't have any extra gear or nothing. It's all about experience and skill. That's it. Like, there are no overpowered weapons to collect or armor sets like in other games. Like, it's all about your skills and the strategies that you choose to use. So these aspects really set Ninja.io apart from lots of other .io games, and even in modes with teams in Ninja.io, the teams are small enough and the skill roof is high enough that you can easily carry your entire team if you have to. Getting a bad team is not just an instant death sentence in this game like it is in so many other games, .io and non.io. But that's something that's really unique about Ninja.io. You know, it's very individualistic. All that really matters is you, you know, and that's really something that's, to me at least, very appealing and very unique. Speaking of how skill makes a massive difference in this game, a fantastic part about Ninja.io is its high skill roof. What I mean by that is that there's both a lot to master, but there's also no point where you've learned and perfected everything there is to know, because the more advanced aspects of this game are things that you have to continually learn about and practice, and there's no limit on how good you can get or on how much you can refine them, you know? In more simple .io games, when you can just get the best gear and weapons and all that, like, a lot of the times there's a very small amount of room to grow. But in Ninja.io, I seriously mean this, the sky is the limit on how good you can get at the game. And this is because we're not robots, we're humans, right? Like, if Ninja.io combines a lot of complex and advanced aspects at once, so a lot of the more intricate things you can do take a lot of practice, and you will be refining for a long time. Like, you can theoretically dodge everybody's shots and hit all of yours with enough practice, theoretically speaking, right? In Ninja.io, the only limiting factor on how good you can become is you and your skill, not some arbitrary mechanic that stops you from improving. It's not like one of those games where how much damage you do depends on your level, or, you know, you can only do you can only do certain limited movesets. Like, Ninja.io is very open. You know, you have, like, all the doors are open to you. You have to pick which one to take. Like, now, I know what I just said might just sound really, really, really cringy, but the point is, what I'm talking about, like, all the doors are open to you, is you can do whatever you want and make it work. You aren't limited to certain movesets or environments. Like, you have the ability to fly, for God's sake. Like, you can go anywhere you want in the map. Like, It's like it's very, very, very intricate and complex. It's hard to put into words, but really, I guess the point I'm trying to get to here is in Ninja.io, the ways you can play are open and diverse enough that there's always room to significantly improve. Not just improve, but significantly improve. And that's very unique from most other, not only .io games, but most other games. Now, I have played a lot of different .io games in my life, and for a long time. But out of all of the ones I've ever played, Ninja.io by far has the best progression system. Ninja.io manages to make the progression system feel way, way more rewarding than the other games, while at the same time not giving players unfair advantages like overpowered unlockable items or dumb stuff like that for progressing. Ninja.io makes players feel rewarded for progressing through its leaderboard and ranking system, while at the same time not ruining things for players who haven't progressed that far yet. Now, to give a brief overview of how this system works, basically there are levels, like in lots of other games, and you gain levels by getting XP, and once you level up enough or reach certain level markers, you get a neat little new star. It's a different color and sometimes, different shapes too. So it's a pretty neat little thing. And then this pattern repeats until a player has reached the maximum level. So that's not the only stat though. So there's levels, but then at the same time, there's a stat called skill ranking that combines three different aspects to give you a number. Skill ranking combines the KDR, so kill death ratio, of a player with the quality of a player, and quality means how many high ranking players they've killed, high ranking in skill or level, but regardless, the quality being mixed in there is important because it means like players who just run away from any pros they see and have high KDRs because of that won't get super high on the leaderboard. But anyways, it combines those two stats with the activity of a player. And then you get a number and a rank based on that. So you have now, you're being ranked on both your level, which there's a leaderboard for, and you're also being ranked on your skill, which again, there's a leaderboard for. But then on top of those rankings, players are ranked on how many kills they've gotten with certain weapons. And by certain weapons, I mean with every weapon in the game. Now, do you start to see a pattern here? There's a leaderboard for each weapon, there's a leaderboard for levels, and there's a leaderboard for skill ranking. Now, what Ninja.io is doing here is it's giving players lots of different ways and paths to strive to be the best in something. It's easy for a player to get on a leaderboard of some kind in any extent, even if they're not first, it's easy for them to be rewarded for what they're strong in, and they can watch as their stats grow and as they climb that leaderboard slowly. And what that gives is a direct way to log and quantify your growth as a player. And that is really, really, really important, being able to quantify your growth, because how else do you quantify your improvements, Like this gives you a direct way to see, like, yes, I am getting better, Yes, my KDR is improving. Like these stats are actually really important. For me at least, and as far as I know, for a lot of other players as well. So, like, these things and that you're being ranked on are so diverse that players are being ranked for any area that they're strong in, basically. For example, a player might not have the most kills with the link gun. They might not even be on the leaderboard for it. But that same player might have more kills with the shuriken than anyone else in the game. And in most games, something like that would go unrewarded. But with this type of progression system, that player can watch as their shuriken kills rise, and they rise through the ranks on those leaderboards until eventually they reach the first place, Players get rewarded for areas they're strong in, and that's something that feels really good. And to top it all off, if you have obviously too many leaderboards, like you can't have leaderboards for everything or each ranking will feel more insignificant, but Ninja.io really neatly manages to stay within a sweet spot to avoid this from happening by giving leaderboards for like the important stuff, and nothing but the important stuff. But there's enough important stuff that this gives lots of players a way to make it on there, and that feels really good and it feels really earned and valuable as you watch yourself slowly climb the leaderboard. And that's something that's a really unique thing that I haven't really seen in many other .io games. Now, as I think you may have sort of caught on to, I could talk about Ninja.io all day long, but I don't want this video to be like a bazillion hours, so I'll try and be brief with this next section. Another fantastic thing about Ninja.io is that it forces you to adapt frequently. There are lots of different viable playstyles and enough unique terrains in the game that you will have to adapt and change your approaches from match to match. Like, there are so many unique and viable playstyles that, like, you might have to drastically, not just might, but you will have to drastically change your approach just because of, say, one player joining a lobby and one player doing something that counters your, sort of tactic for that match. Like, it's not a static game, and it feels really, like, fluid, if that makes sense. Like, one strategy will never work 100% of the time, or even 70% of the time in this game. You have to come up with new ones depending on your circumstance. And now this is especially true in competitive lobbies. And that's a really fantastic part about Ninja.io. And it does a lot to keep the game feeling fresh, because you're never doing the same thing. You are changing what you're doing depending on who you're playing against. Like, you'll never play, if you're a good player at least, you'll never play 2 games with the exact same plan. And when I say plan, like, you don't have to sit there thinking, what am I going to do this match? It's like, it's subconscious mostly. It's sort of like overall tactics, but those things change, and they change. I know this sounds like so like intricate and like confusing, but really, like, you have to play it to understand what I'm talking about. But these strategies change sort of subconsciously. Like, you'll die a few times to, like, say somebody using the shotgun, and you'll realize, wow, this is, say you're camping or something, and you'll realize, well, camping right now isn't working, so maybe I can camp in another lobby, but I can't in this one. It's sort of these subconscious things that you realize as you're playing, which causes you to change depending on your circumstance. Okay, sorry, I know I was supposed to be brief, but that was not brief. Anyways, those were all the main parts I wanted to discuss. Now let's move on to Jeff's part.
Hey there, Jeffrier from the channel. Well, Jeffrier. You might know me for some of my weird Ninjaio videos, and the variety part of my channel. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is easy controls. I mean, unless you think pressing the ASWD keys for movement is hard, it's generally an easy controlled game. You do press another few keys on the keyboard, but those only include these buttons. What does players, especially young children, love other than easy controls? Skins and customizations. And if those words float your boat, this game will overdose your boat with buoyancy. The amount of body parts you can change and apply to your little ninja character is insane. Just look at these. That's a mohawk, and that hair looks like it's straight out of the Terminator movie. Anyways, new customizations come out once in a while, and they make sure your ninja looks exactly like a ninja. Anywho, you know what players love other than easy controls, skins, and customizations? Guns. Lots of guns. Heck, people love guns so much that this thing exists. The variety of guns in Ninja.io each have unique abilities and are very well balanced. They also include classic ninja weapons like shurikens and bows. I'm pretty sure ninjas use bows. And sometimes the switch in weapons really refreshes their mood. But you know what players love other than easy controls, skins, customizations, and a good weapon choice? Graphics. Yes, I'm aware that this is an IO game and doesn't have outstanding graphics, but compared to the usual simple graphics of other IO games, it stands out pretty well. Shading, coloring, and background graphics are all great for an IO game unlike Survive.io. Ninja.io has lots of cool graphics, like the blood splatter, the body parts flying across the map, and again, the customizations. And last but not least, the community. Yes, some 9-year-olds are always going to be out there being the toxic sludges that they are, but there's always a heartwarming part of the community, especially if you come to the official Ninja.io Discord server. Lots of memories are made here, and we, the staff team, will try our best to show you the nice part of the internet. Plus, you don't have to worry about any of your customizations or going away since the game won't go down anytime soon. I mean shut down.
Shutting down.
No!